The alarm buzzed through the metal halls of the galactic survey vessel Zephyrian Prime. Chief xenobiologist Kethavar looked up from his data screen, his 4 eyes blinking in confusion. The ship's computer was making sounds he had never heard before. "Computer, what is the nature of this alert?" Kethavar asked, his voice carrying the soft musical tone of his species. "Massive energy readings detected from planet designation Earth 3847. Classification updated to Class 12 Deathworld. Warning: extreme danger to all known life forms." Kethavar's skin turned a pale blue color, which meant he was scared. Class 12 was the highest danger rating in the galaxy. Only 12 planets had ever received this rating, and all of them were completely empty of life. No living thing could survive on a Class 12 world. He quickly called Captain Zalthek to the science bay. When the captain arrived, his tall, thin body moved with worry. The captain's people were known for being calm, but even he looked nervous. "Show me the data," Captain Zalthek said. Kethavar pulled up the readings on the main screen. The numbers were terrible. "Look at this, Captain. The planet has poison gas in the air that would kill most species in minutes. The temperature changes are extreme. In some places, water freezes into solid ice. In other places, it gets so hot that metals would melt." "What about radiation?" the captain asked. "Very high levels. The planet sits too close to its star. The radiation would burn through our ship's shields in less than a day. And look at this." Kethavar pointed to another set of numbers. "The gravity is twice what most species can handle. It would crush our bones." Captain Zalthek studied the data for a long time. "Have you found any signs of life?" "That's what makes no sense, Captain. The computer shows energy patterns that look like cities, lots of them. But that's impossible. Nothing could live on that world." The captain called for a meeting with his senior officers. They all gathered in the main conference room. The room was quiet as Kethavar explained what they had found. "It must be machine life," said Commander Vexari. "Some kind of robots left behind by a dead civilization." "No," Kethavar replied. "The energy patterns are too random, too organic. These look like living cities with beings moving around inside them." "Impossible," said Security Chief Rothan. "My people have studied death worlds for generations. Nothing lives on a Class 12 world. Nothing." Meanwhile, far below on Earth, Jake Morrison was floating inside the International Space Station. He was looking out the small window at the blue and white planet below him. Earth looked beautiful from space, with its white clouds swirling over blue oceans and green and brown land. Jake had been in space for 3 months. He missed the feeling of wind on his face and the smell of rain. He missed the sound of birds singing in the morning. Most of all, he missed his family back in Texas. "Jake, you need to see this," called Lisa Carter from the communication station. Lisa was a smart woman who had worked for NASA for 10 years. She handled all the radio signals that came to and from the space station. "What's up, Lisa?" Jake asked, pushing himself over to her station. "I'm getting some really strange signals. They're not coming from Earth and they're not from any of our satellites. The pattern looks almost like someone is trying to talk to us." Jake looked at the display screen. The signals were coming in waves with patterns that looked too organized to be natural. "How long have you been getting these?" "About 20 minutes. And Jake, they're getting stronger. Whatever it is, it's getting closer." High above them, the Zephyrian Prime moved closer to Earth. The alien ship was huge, almost as big as a small city. Its metal hull was covered with sensors and communication devices. The aliens inside were getting more confused by the minute. "Captain," called the communication officer, "we're receiving signals from the planet. They appear to be artificial." "What kind of signals?" Captain Zalthek asked. "Radio waves mostly, but also other types of energy we don't recognize. And Captain, some of these signals are very complex. They show signs of high intelligence." Captain Zalthek couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Are you saying there's intelligent life on that death world?" "It appears so, sir, and they seem to have some kind of technology." The captain made a decision that would change everything. "Open a communication channel. Let's see if they want to talk." On the space station, Lisa Carter nearly fell out of her chair when her equipment suddenly came alive with new signals. These weren't random patterns. These were clearly attempts at communication. "Jake, get over here now," she called. "We're being contacted by someone, and it's not from Earth." Jake quickly floated over to the communication station. On the screen, he could see patterns of light that seemed to be trying to form shapes. The shapes looked almost like the mathematical symbols humans used. "Can you respond to them?" Jake asked. "I think so. Let me try sending back some basic math. If they're intelligent, they should understand numbers." Lisa sent out a simple signal. 1 + 1 = 2. Then 2 + 2 = 4. After a few minutes, the alien signals responded with the same patterns, but in reverse. 4 minus 2 = 2, 2 minus 1 = 1. "They understand math," Jake said, his voice full of excitement. "We're talking to aliens." "More than that," Lisa replied. "Look at how fast they responded, and look at the complexity of their signals. These beings are very advanced." On the alien ship, the crew was having an emergency meeting. The idea that intelligent life existed on a Class 12 Deathworld went against everything they knew about biology and evolution. "It's impossible," Chief Xenobiologist Kethvar kept saying. "Life can't develop on a world like that. The conditions are too harsh. Even if life started, it would die out quickly." "But the evidence is right in front of us," Captain Zalthek replied. "These beings are not only alive, they have technology advanced enough to build structures in space." "Maybe they're not from that planet," suggested Commander Vexari. "Maybe they came from somewhere else and are just visiting." "The energy patterns say otherwise," Kethvar said, looking at his data again. "The surface of the planet shows millions of structures. Cities, roads, what look like farms. These beings have been there for a long time." Captain Zalthek made another important decision. "We need to make direct contact, prepare a diplomatic message, tell them who we are, and that we come in peace, and ask them how they survive on such a dangerous world." The message took several hours to prepare. The aliens had to be very careful with their words, because they didn't want to scare the humans. They also didn't want to insult them by asking why they lived on a death world. When the message reached the space station, Jake and Lisa spent hours trying to translate it. Slowly, they began to understand what the aliens were saying. "They want to know how we survive on Earth," Lisa said, looking confused. "They keep calling our planet dangerous. They seem to think Earth is one of the most dangerous places in the galaxy." Jake laughed. "Dangerous? Earth is beautiful. Sure, we have storms and earthquakes sometimes, but it's home. It's perfect for us." "That's what I'm going to tell them," Lisa said. She began preparing humanity's first message to an alien species. The message was simple. "Earth is our home. We love our planet. It gives us everything we need to live and grow. We would like to learn about your world too." When the aliens received this message, they were completely shocked. Not only did these beings live on a Class 12 death world, they actually loved it. They called it home. This was going to change everything they thought they knew about life in the galaxy. 3 weeks after first contact, a small alien shuttle landed in a forest clearing in Oregon. The landing was careful and slow, with the shuttle's sensors checking everything around it for danger. Inside the shuttle, 3 aliens sat in heavy, protective suits that looked like they were going to explore the inside of a volcano. Dr. Vexari was the leader of the research team. Her people came from a world where the temperature never changed, and where all the animals were small and gentle. She had studied dangerous planets for many years, but she had never actually visited one. Her hands shook inside her thick gloves as she looked at the readings on her scanner. "The air outside contains 21% oxygen," she told her team, "and that's a poison gas for most species. The atmospheric pressure is crushing and the temperature keeps changing." "How much is it changing?" asked her assistant Colvin. "It went up 3 degrees in the last hour," Dr. Vexari replied. "On my world, if the temperature changed even 1 degree, we would declare a planetary emergency." The third alien, security. Officer Zethra was checking his weapons. "The gravity here is terrible," he said. "I feel like I'm carrying another person on my back. How do the native beings move around in this?" A few hundred meters away, Dr. Ben Walker was setting up equipment with his partner Amy Foster. Ben was a biologist who had spent most of his life studying forests. He was excited to meet beings from another world, but he was also confused by their fear of Earth. "I still don't understand why they think our planet is so dangerous," Ben said, to Amy as he adjusted a camera. "This is one of the nicest days we've had all month." Amy looked around at the forest. Birds were singing in the trees. A small stream bubbled nearby. The sun was shining through the green leaves, making pretty patterns on the ground. "Maybe their world is different from ours," she said. "Maybe they come from somewhere really safe." "Safer than this?" Ben asked, laughing. "What could be safer than a quiet forest?" When the aliens finally came out of their shuttle, they moved very slowly. Their suits were so thick that they looked like walking machines. Dr. Vexari had sensors attached to every part of her suit, and they were all beeping and flashing with warnings. "The environment is even worse than our reading showed," she said to her team through their radio system. "There are thousands of different life forms here. They're all competing with each other. This is complete chaos." Ben and Amy walked over to meet them. Both humans were wearing normal clothes, jeans, t-shirts, and light jackets. Ben had on old hiking boots that were covered with mud. "Welcome to Earth," Ben said with a big smile. "We're really excited to meet you." Dr. Vexari looked at the humans and couldn't believe what she was seeing. "Where are your protective suits?" she asked. "Protective suits?" Amy replied. "We don't need them. This is just a normal day." "Normal?" Dr. Vexari's voice went higher, with fear. "You're breathing poison gas. The radiation from your star is burning your skin. There are dangerous creatures all around us." Ben looked around the forest again. He could hear a squirrel chattering in a tree and see a butterfly flying between flowers. "What dangerous creatures?" he asked. Dr. Vexari pointed her scanner at a nearby tree. "There's a four-legged creature up there with sharp claws and teeth. It could attack at any moment." "That's just a squirrel," Amy said, laughing. "They're harmless. They eat nuts and seeds." "Nuts and seeds today," Security Officer Zethra said darkly. "But what about when food becomes scarce? What about when it gets desperate?" Ben tried to explain that squirrels were not dangerous, but the aliens didn't believe him. They thought he was either very brave or very foolish. The research began with Dr. Vexari taking samples of everything: air, water, soil, and plants. Every test showed results that frightened her. The soil was full of bacteria and tiny creatures. The water had minerals in it that would make most aliens sick. Even the plants were covered with insects and other small life forms. "This is the most hostile environment I've ever studied," she told her team. "Everything here is either trying to eat something else or trying not to be eaten. How do the humans survive in this chaos?" Amy was showing the aliens different types of trees when she mentioned that she and Ben liked to go hiking in the mountains on weekends. "Hiking?" Dr. Vexari asked. "What is hiking?" "We walk through the wilderness for fun," Ben explained. "Sometimes we camp outside at night under the stars." All three aliens stopped moving. For a long moment, nobody said anything. "You go into the wilderness on purpose?" Colvin finally asked. "For fun?" "Sure," Amy said. "It's relaxing. We like to see new places and watch animals in their natural environment." "But what about the predators?" Zethra asked. "What about getting lost? What about changes in weather?" "We're careful," Ben replied. "We bring maps and supplies, and we know how to handle ourselves outdoors." Dr. Vexari was writing notes as fast as she could. The humans were describing behavior that was completely opposite to everything she knew about survival. On her world, people stayed in safe areas. They never went into the wilderness unless it was absolutely necessary, and then only with large groups and lots of protection. The situation got worse when Amy mentioned that humans also liked to swim in natural bodies of water. "You go into the water?" Dr. Vexari asked. "Where you can't see the bottom, where unknown creatures live?" "Swimming is great exercise," Amy said, "and it's fun on hot days." "But what if something attacks you from below?" Colvin asked. "Like what?" Ben asked. "Fish with teeth, water creatures with tentacles, poisonous plants," Zethra listed. "Most fish are afraid of humans," Amy explained. "They swim away when we get close, and we stay away from dangerous areas." "How do you know which areas are dangerous?" Dr. Vexari asked. "Experience," Ben said. "Our parents taught us. We learned in school. and we pay attention to warning signs. The aliens were taking notes on everything, but they were getting more confused, not less. These humans seemed to have no fear of their dangerous world. They actually enjoyed activities that would terrify most species in the galaxy. Then the weather started to change. Dark clouds began forming in the sky, and the wind started to blow harder. The aliens' equipment began beeping with weather warnings. Storm. Approaching, Dr. Vexari announced. We need to return to the shuttle immediately. It's just a little thunderstorm, Amy said, looking up at the clouds. We can keep working. Little thunderstorm? Colvin asked in horror. Your equipment shows massive electrical activity. The pressure changes could damage our hearing. The wind speeds are dangerous. It's not that bad, Ben said. We might get a little wet, but that's all. Thunder rumbled in the distance and the aliens jumped. Their suits began flashing red warning lights. Electrical discharge, Security Officer Zethra reported. The energy levels are extreme. We could be struck by lightning. The odds of being struck by lightning are very small, Amy tried to explain. More people win the lottery than get hit by lightning. You have a lottery? Dr. Vexari asked. What is that? It's a game where you can win money, Ben said. You play games where you could lose money? Colvin asked. Before Ben could explain, rain started to fall. The aliens ran for their shuttle as fast as their heavy suits would let them. Ben and Amy walked slowly behind them, enjoying the feel of the cool rain on their faces. Inside the shuttle, Dr. Vexari was sending an emergency report to the mothership. The humans appear to have adapted to their death world by losing all normal survival instincts, she reported. They expose themselves to deadly weather for entertainment. They enter areas filled with predators and call it relaxing. They voluntarily go into bodies of water where they cannot see threats approaching. Do you think they're insane? Captain Zalthak asked over the communication system. Dr. Vexari watched through the shuttle window as Ben and Amy stood in the rain, talking and laughing. I don't know, she replied. But whatever they are, they're completely different from any species we've ever encountered. They don't just survive on this death world. They seem to love it. 2 weeks later, the alien research team stood at the edge of New York City, looking up at the tall buildings that seemed to touch the sky. Dr. Vexari's equipment was going crazy with alarms and warnings. Her scanner showed millions of life, forms packed together in a very small space. This is impossible, she said to her team. No species builds structures this high. The risk of collapse is too great, and look at how many individuals are living so close together. One disaster could kill thousands. Security Officer Zethra was studying the traffic below them. Cars and trucks moved in rivers of metal, stopping and starting in patterns that looked chaotic to his alien eyes. They put themselves in metal boxes and travel at high speeds just meters away from each other, he reported. One small mistake, and there would be massive destruction. Maybe they're forced to live this way, suggested Colvin. Maybe their population is so large they have no choice. Commander Roy Mitchell walked up to meet them. Roy was a big man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had been a Marine for 20 years before becoming a city planner. He was excited to show the aliens how human cities worked. Welcome to New York, Roy said with a smile. I hope you're ready for the grand tour. Dr. Vexari looked at Roy's casual clothes and relaxed attitude. Aren't you afraid? She asked. Afraid of what? Roy replied. All of this. Dr. Vexari waved her scanner at the city. The unstable structures, the dangerous crowds, the vehicles moving at deadly speeds. Roy laughed. New York is one of the safest big cities in the world. We have excellent building codes, good traffic systems, and trained emergency responders everywhere. Emergency responders? Colvin asked. People whose job it is to help others when something goes wrong, Roy explained. Police officers, firefighters, paramedics, doctors. We have thousands of them working every day to keep everyone safe. The aliens followed Roy down into the subway system. Dr. Vexari nearly fainted when she realized they were going underground. You built tunnels beneath your city? She asked in horror. What if they cave in? What if they flood? What if you get trapped? The subway has been running for over 100 years, Roy said as they walked down the stairs. Millions of people, Use it every day, it's very safe. A train pulled into the station with a loud screech of metal on metal. The aliens jumped backward, their suits flashing warning lights, but hundreds of humans calmly walked on and off the train like nothing unusual was happening. They're not afraid, Dr. Vexari whispered to her team. Look at them. They're reading, talking, even sleeping. How can they be so calm in this dangerous environment? On the train, Roy explained how the subway system worked. He talked about schedules, maps, and safety systems. But the aliens were too frightened to listen carefully. They kept looking at the tunnel walls rushing past the windows, expecting them to collapse at any moment. When they came back to street level, Roy took them to visit a construction site where humans were building a new skyscraper. The aliens watched in amazement as workers climbed high into the air on thin metal beams, putting the building together piece by piece. Those workers are hundreds of meters above the ground, Zethra observed. One slip, and they would fall to their death. That's why we have safety equipment, Roy explained. Hard hats, safety harnesses, protective gear. We train our workers carefully and have strict rules about safety. But why build so high in the first place? Dr. Vexari asked. Why not build many small structures spread far apart? Space, Roy said simply. We have millions of people who need places to live and work. Building up instead of out saves land for parks, farms, and wild areas. The concept of choosing to live in dangerous conditions to preserve other areas was completely foreign to the aliens. On their worlds, safety always came first. Their next stop was a hospital emergency room. Roy had arranged for them to meet Katie Rodriguez, a paramedic who had been working in the city for 15 years. Katie was a small woman with quick hands and a calm voice, but her job involved dealing with emergencies every day. I heard you wanted to learn about how we handle medical emergencies, Katie said as she led them through the hospital. The aliens followed her into the emergency room, where they saw something that shocked them even more than the tall buildings or underground trains. Humans were treating other humans who had been injured doing activities that seemed completely unnecessary. Katie showed them patients who had been hurt playing sports. This man broke his leg playing football, she explained. This woman hurt her shoulder rock climbing, and this teenager sprained his ankle skateboarding. They hurt themselves on purpose? Dr. Vexari asked. Not on purpose, Katie laughed. But they were doing activities they knew had some risk. We call them sports and hobbies. Why would anyone do dangerous activities for fun? Colvin asked. Katie thought about this for a moment. Because they're fun. Because they make us stronger. Because we enjoy challenges. And because the risk is usually very small if you're careful and properly trained. The aliens watched as Katie and other medical workers calmly treated injuries that would have been considered major disasters on their worlds. A broken bone was routine. A cut that needed stitches was normal. Even serious injuries were handled, with efficiency and skill. How do you stay so calm? Dr. Vexari asked Katie. Training and experience, Katie replied. I've been doing this for years. I know what to do and I have good equipment and a great team to help me. Katie showed them videos of emergency responders working during natural disasters. The aliens watched humans running toward burning buildings, diving into floodwaters and climbing into damaged structures to rescue people. These individuals are moving toward danger, not away from it, Zethra observed. This goes against every survival instinct we know. They're heroes, Katie said simply. They risk their own safety to help others. We train them well and give them the best equipment we can, but yes, they do dangerous work to save lives. The aliens spent hours watching the medical staff work. They saw doctors performing complex surgeries, nurses caring for patients with serious illnesses, and technicians operating dangerous equipment. Everyone worked calmly and efficiently, even when dealing with life-threatening situations. On our worlds, Dr. Vexari explained to Katie, medical facilities are built far away from population centers. Only the safest, most routine procedures are performed. Anything dangerous is avoided. How do you save people in emergencies? Katie asked. We try to prevent emergencies from happening, Colvin replied. We live in controlled environments where nothing unexpected occurs. Katie looked confused. But what about accidents? Natural disasters? People getting sick? We design our lives to avoid those things, Dr. Vexari said. We don't do activities that might cause accidents. We live in areas where natural disasters don't happen, and we have very simple medical needs. That sounds boring, Katie said honestly. The aliens left the hospital with more questions than answers. That evening, they met with Roy again to discuss what they had learned. Your species has built an entire civilization around accepting and managing risk, Dr. Vexari told him. You don't avoid danger, you prepare for it. I guess you could put it that way, Roy said. We know that life has risks, so we try to be smart about them. We learn skills, we build safety systems, and we help each other when things go wrong. But why not just avoid the risks completely? Zethra asked. Roy thought about this question for a long time. Because, he finally said, the things that make life worth living often involve some risk. Love, friendship, exploration, creativity, helping others. If we avoided all risk, we wouldn't really be living. That night, the aliens sent another report to their ship. The humans don't just survive on their Deathworld, Dr. Vexari reported. They've created a complex society based on cooperation and mutual aid. They accept that their environment is dangerous, but instead of being defeated by it, they've learned to work together to overcome the challenges. Are you saying they're stronger because of the danger? Captain Zalthek asked. Dr. Vexari looked out at the lights of the city, where millions of humans were living their lives without fear. I'm beginning to think that might be exactly what I'm saying, she replied. The alien research team's next stop was the Sahara Desert in Africa. Dr. Vexari's equipment started screaming warnings before their shuttle even landed. The temperature outside was hot enough to kill most alien species in minutes. This is madness, she said, looking at her readings. The surface temperature is 60 degrees. That's hot enough to cook food. How can anything live here? Their human guide was Dr. Sam Martinez, a marine biologist who had spent years studying life in extreme environments. Sam was a thin man with dark skin that had been tanned by years of working in the sun. He wore light clothes and a wide hat, and he seemed completely comfortable in the blazing heat. Welcome to the Sahara, Sam said cheerfully as the aliens stumbled out of their shuttle in their heavy protective suits. Beautiful day, isn't it? Beautiful? Colvin asked in disbelief. His suit was working hard to keep him cool, and he could hear the cooling system struggling. Clear skies, gentle breeze, perfect visibility, Sam said. You couldn't ask for better weather. Dr. Vexari checked her instruments again. The radiation levels from your star are deadly. The heat is extreme. There's almost no water. How do you survive here? Knowledge and preparation, Sam replied. My people have lived in deserts for thousands of years. We know how to find water, how to stay cool, and how to travel safely. Sam showed them a small village where humans lived year-round in the desert. The aliens watched in amazement as children played in the sand while adults worked calmly in the blazing sun. These humans are living in conditions that would kill our strongest soldiers, Zethra observed, and they seem happy. This is their home, Sam explained. They love the desert. They know every star in the night sky, every plant that grows here, every animal that lives here. To them, this isn't a dangerous place. It's the most beautiful place in the world. The next part of their journey took them to Alaska, where the temperature was cold enough to freeze most alien blood solid. Dr. Vexari's equipment started giving different warnings, but they were just as serious. Now the temperature is negative, 40 degrees, she reported. That's cold enough to kill us in seconds. And look at the wind speed, it could knock us over. Their guide in Alaska was Tom Peterson, a man who had lived there his whole life. Tom was wearing a thick coat and warm boots, but he moved around like the freezing cold was normal. You picked a nice day to visit, Tom said with a big smile. Usually it's much windier this time of year. Nice day? Dr. Vexari asked. Her suit was working as hard as it could to keep her warm. Sure, Tom replied. Clear and calm. Perfect for ice fishing. Ice fishing? Colvin asked. We cut holes in the frozen water and catch fish, Tom explained. It's relaxing, good way to spend a winter day. The aliens watched as Tom casually walked out onto a frozen lake and began cutting a hole in the ice with a hand tool. To them, He was voluntarily putting himself on an unstable surface over deep water in deadly cold temperatures. "What if the ice breaks?" Zethra asked. "I know how to read ice," Tom said. "This ice is thick and solid. It'll hold my weight easily." "But what if you fall through?" Dr. Vexari asked. "I know how to get out," Tom replied. "And I never fish alone. My buddy Carl is over there." He pointed to another human who was also cutting holes in the ice. The aliens were beginning to see a pattern. Humans didn't avoid dangerous environments. They learned how to live in them safely. Their next stop was even more shocking. Sam took them to the coast of California, where they watched humans enter the ocean in small boats. But these weren't just any boats. These were research vessels going to study underwater volcanoes. "You go into the water above active volcanoes?" Dr. Vexari asked in horror. "The underwater volcanic systems are fascinating," Sam explained. "We can learn so much about how our planet works by studying them. But the danger," Colvin started to say. "We're very careful," Sam said. "We have safety equipment, emergency procedures, and experienced crews. The risks are manageable if you know what you're doing." The aliens watched as humans put on diving suits and went down into the crushing depths of the ocean. The pressure down there was enough to crush their alien bodies like paper, but humans had built special equipment that let them explore safely. "They voluntarily go to places where the environment itself tries to kill them," Zethra observed, "and they do it to learn new things." Even more amazing to the aliens was meeting Alex Turner, a mountain climber who had climbed some of the highest peaks on Earth. Alex was a young woman with strong arms and a bright smile. She talked about climbing mountains the way other people talked about taking walks in the park. "Why do you climb mountains?" Dr. Vexari asked her. "Because they're there," Alex replied. "Because it's challenging. Because the view from the top is incredible. Because it makes me feel alive." "But you could die," Colvin pointed out. "I could die crossing the street," Alex said. "Life has risks. The important thing is to be prepared and to know your limits." Alex showed them pictures from her climbs, photos of her hanging from ropes on vertical cliff faces, walking across narrow ridges with 1,000-meter drops on both sides, and camping in tents during snowstorms that would have been considered natural disasters on alien worlds. "Look at this," she said, showing them a picture of herself at the top of a mountain. "This is why I climb. For moments like this, when you can see the whole world spread out below you." The alien studied the picture. Alex looked small and fragile against the huge mountain, but her face showed pure joy and triumph. "You risk your life for a view?" Dr. Vexari asked. "I risk my life for the feeling of overcoming something difficult," Alex corrected. "For pushing my limits and discovering what I'm capable of." Dr. Vexari spent hours interviewing humans who did dangerous jobs and dangerous hobbies. She met firefighters who ran into burning buildings, pilots who flew through storms, scientists who studied dangerous animals, and athletes who pushed their bodies to the limits. All of them had the same thing in common. They weren't reckless or stupid. They were careful, trained, and well-prepared, but they chose to face danger because it gave their lives meaning. "On our worlds," Dr. Vexari explained to Sam, "we avoid anything that might hurt us. We live in safe places, do safe jobs, and have safe hobbies." "That sounds peaceful," Sam said. "It is peaceful," Dr. Vexari agreed. "But it's also empty. We live for thousands of years, but we don't really experience much. We don't grow or change, we just exist." "Is that enough?" Sam asked. Dr. Vexari thought about this question for a long time. She thought about Alex hanging from a cliff face with a huge smile on her face. She thought about Tom fishing through ice and weather that could kill her in minutes. She thought about Katie running toward danger to help people she had never met. "I don't think it is enough," she finally said. "I think humans have discovered something we never learned." "What's that?" Sam asked. "That safety isn't the most important thing in life," Dr. Vexari replied. "Growth is, challenge is, helping others is, making a difference is." That night, the alien team sent their longest report yet to the mothership. "The humans have developed a completely different relationship with danger than any species we know," Dr. Vexari reported. They don't just accept that their world is dangerous. They use that danger to become stronger, smarter, and more capable. They've turned their Deathworld into a training ground, she continued. Every challenge they face makes them better prepared for the next one. Every danger they overcome teaches them something new. Are you saying their dangerous environment made them superior? Captain Zalthik asked. Dr. Vexari looked at her notes from the day. Stories of humans exploring, discovering, risking, and growing. I'm saying their dangerous environment made them truly alive, she replied. 6 months after the alien research team had returned to their ship, the Galactic Council was meeting an emergency session. Representatives from dozens of worlds sat in the great circular chamber, all talking at once. The report about Earth had caused confusion and disbelief throughout the galaxy. Chancellor Vorthak, the leader of the council, called for order. We are here to discuss the findings about planet Earth and its inhabitants. Dr. Vexari, please present your final conclusions. Dr. Vexari stood at the center of the chamber. Her 4 arms held data tablets covered with notes and measurements. Honored council members, she began, what we discovered on Earth changes everything we thought we knew about life in the galaxy. Impossible, declared Ambassador Krelzon from the Meridian Alliance. No species can survive on a Class 12 Deathworld. Your equipment must have been faulty. That's what we thought too, Dr. Vexari replied. So we brought proof. The main screen in the chamber lit up with videos from Earth. The council members watched in shocked silence as humans did things that seemed impossible. They saw people swimming in rough ocean waters, climbing vertical rock faces, and walking calmly through thunderstorms. These recordings cannot be real, protested Counselor Yethra from the Crystal Worlds. No intelligent species would voluntarily expose themselves to such dangers. I assure you the recordings are genuine, Dr. Vexari said. But they only show a small part of what makes humans unique. She changed the display to show human cities. Look at how they build their settlements. Instead of spreading out safely, they build up toward the sky. Instead of avoiding dangerous areas, they live near volcanoes, fault lines, and storm-prone regions. They must be forced to live in these places, suggested Ambassador Krelzon. Perhaps they have no choice. We thought that too, Dr. Vexari said, until we learned that humans often choose to live in dangerous places because they find them beautiful. The chamber erupted in confused voices. The idea that any species would choose danger over safety went against millions of years of galactic understanding about intelligence and survival. Chancellor Vorthak called for quiet again. Dr. Vexari, are you claiming that these humans are somehow defective? That their survival instincts are broken? No, Chancellor, Dr. Vexari replied. I'm claiming they're more advanced than we are. The chamber fell completely silent. On Earth, Captain Steve Harrison was preparing for a special demonstration. Steve was a test pilot who had flown every kind of aircraft the human military had built. He had volunteered to show the aliens what human pilots could do. Steve climbed into his fighter jet as storm clouds gathered overhead. The aliens watched from their ship, their equipment showing them how dangerous the weather was becoming. The electrical activity is extreme, reported the alien observer. Wind speeds are reaching dangerous levels. No rational pilot would fly in these conditions. Steve's voice came over the radio, calm and confident. This is Captain Harrison. Weather looks a little rough, but nothing we can't handle. Beginning demonstration flight. The aliens watched in amazement as Steve took off directly into the storm. Lightning flashed around his aircraft, but he flew through it like it was a sunny day. He performed complex maneuvers, showing off the capabilities of both his machine and his own skills. How is this possible? Asked the alien observer. Training, Steve replied over the radio. Experience and really good equipment. We've been flying in bad weather for over a century. We know how to do it safely. Back at the Galactic Council, Dr. Vexari was explaining what the research team had really discovered. Humans don't just survive on their death world, she said. They've learned to thrive because of it. Every challenge their planet presents has made them stronger, smarter, and more adaptable. But at what cost? Asked Counselor Yethra. How many of them die from these dangerous activities? Fewer than you might think, Dr. Vexari replied. Because they don't approach danger carelessly. They study it, prepare for it, and develop systems to manage it. They've turned risk assessment into a science. She showed the council videos of human emergency responders. When disaster strikes, they don't run away. They run toward the danger to help others. They've built entire careers around saving people from their dangerous world. This is unprecedented in galactic history, Chancellor Vorthak said quietly. It gets more interesting, Dr. Vexari continued. Humans don't just manage the dangers of their world. They seek out new ones. They explore places that could kill them because they want to learn and grow. The screen showed images of human space exploration, astronauts floating in the deadly vacuum of space, protected only by thin suits and their technology. They're already leaving their death world, Dr. Vexari explained. They're exploring their own solar system and making plans to visit other stars. They see the vast, dangerous emptiness of space not as something to fear, but as the ultimate challenge to overcome. Ambassador Krelzon leaned forward in his seat. Are you suggesting that their dangerous homeworld has prepared them for space exploration better than the rest of us? That's exactly what I'm suggesting, Dr. Vexari replied. We come from safe, stable worlds. When we encounter real danger or uncertainty, we retreat to safety. Humans have lived with danger and uncertainty their entire evolutionary history. To them, the unknown isn't terrifying, it's exciting. The demonstration on Earth continued with other human volunteers. A mountain rescue team showed how they could reach people in impossible locations during terrible weather. Deep-sea explorers took alien observers to parts of Earth's oceans that were more hostile than the surface of most alien worlds. But perhaps the most impressive demonstration was the simplest. A group of human children playing in a park while a thunderstorm approached. The aliens watched as the children laughed and ran around, completely unafraid of the lightning and thunder that would have sent most alien species running for shelter. There, young show no fear, observed the alien watching from orbit. They're actually enjoying the storm. That's because we teach our children that storms can be dangerous, but they're also beautiful, explained their human guide. We teach them to be careful, but not to be afraid. Dr. Vexari finished her presentation to the Galactic Council with a final observation. In all our studies of intelligence throughout the galaxy, we've found that the safest worlds produce the most cautious species. We avoid risk, choose security, and build comfortable lives. And what's wrong with that? Asked Counselor Yethra. Nothing, Dr. Vexari replied, except that it limits growth. It limits discovery. It limits what we can become. The humans have shown us something we never considered, that facing challenges and overcoming difficulties can make a species stronger and more capable. They've turned their death world into a training ground for greatness. Chancellor Vorthak stood up slowly. Dr. Vexari, what are you recommending? I recommend that we reclassify Earth, she said. It should remain a Class 12 death world for our species, because it would still kill us. But we should also classify it as the homeworld of the galaxy's most remarkable survivors. And I recommend that we establish a permanent research station to study human methods of risk management, crisis response, and adaptive thinking. We might learn something that could benefit all our worlds. The vote was unanimous. Earth would become the galaxy's first survival research center, and humans would become teachers instead of subjects. 3 months later, Rachel Adams was floating in the International Space Station, looking out at the stars. She was the first human selected for the new Galactic Exchange program. Soon, she would travel to alien worlds to teach them what humans had learned about facing challenges and overcoming difficulties. It's funny, she said to her mission commander over the radio. They call our planet a death world, but to us, it's just home. It's the place that taught us everything we know about working together, solving problems, and never giving up. Think they'll understand? Her commander asked. Rachel smiled as she watched Earth turning slowly below her. Green and blue and beautiful, covered with storms and life and billions of humans who woke up every day ready to face whatever challenges came their way. I think they're starting to, she replied. And I think that's going to change everything.